This is episode number 9 of the Ninjababes podcast. I'm your host, Cara Palillo, and a big, happy Aussie Ninjababe week to all of you. This has been a fun week of highlighting the amazing athletes in Australia. We have amazing athletes all over the world, and I can't wait to highlight and explore the ninja communities in other countries as well. If you'd like to contact me about collaborating on a cool project to highlight your ninja community and your country, DM me on Instagram or email me at theninjababes@gmail.com. But this week is all about Australia. We've had some fun posts from Ninjababes like Betsy Burnett, Zoe Featonby, Celeste Dixon, Lauren Haines, Anna Davey, Georgia Benora, and of course our episodes with Olivia Vivian and today's episode with Jolene Kelly. Before we get into the interview, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's participated this week. It's been a lot of fun, and it's been super cool to get to know everybody better from over in Australia. And I want to say a big thank you to Monster Holds. I'm proud to say that they are a sponsor and a friend of Ninjababes. Their work is top-notch quality. One of my favorite things about the company is not only how relational Eric and Lucio are, but how creative they are. I think the Monster craftsmanship comes with a lot of ingenuity. Everything they produce is of the utmost quality. Make sure you head on over to www.monsterholds.com and use code NINJABABES, all lowercase, for 15% off your order. That excludes wing nuts and sale items, but these guys love a creative challenge. I got to make some holds for my apartment together with Eric. I like to call them unicorns. This pair of cones has a sparkly design just like unicorn horns, and it's the most magical. I'm looking forward to playing on more equipment from Monstro, and I hope you are too, so get your orders in. Let me introduce you to my friend Jolene Kelly. She lives in Melbourne, Australia, and shares a little apartment with her pet Stanley, who we'll talk about more later this episode. She's a coffee rep and has worked in the industry for over 12 years. She's been ninja training for 3 years, ever since Aussie Ninja Warrior put up the post about starting auditions for the show. And she claims to have the most calloused hands on any woman you'll ever meet. Now, that's a big claim, because you're talking to ninjas here and climbers. So the most calloused hands of any woman you'll ever meet. I think we're going to have to do a little test on this. If anybody thinks they have more calloused hands than Jolene, you're going to have to send us a picture, and we'll do a little comparison. She's got a bachelor's degree and is a qualified ballet dancer at high level. She's Jolene Kelly, and I cannot wait to share this interview with her, so let's jump into it. Good morning. Hello.
Hi, how are you going?
I'm doing so well. Welcome to the Ninjababes podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah, I'm so excited to have you. For all of our listeners, just so that you realize the magnitude of how awesome this is, I am currently sitting in my bedroom in Little New Jersey in America. And Jolene, where are
I'm in
you?
Melbourne, in Australia.
Yes, this is so cool. It was definitely interesting trying to figure out the time zones.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
It's bright and early over there, right?
Mm-hmm. Nice. Just a quiet 4:45 a.m.
Oh, yeah. When's the last time you guys got up at 4:45 a.m.? I think the last time I did was for work when I was forced to, but I'm pretty impressed.
Oh, thank you. It's just a standard day in the life.
In the life. So I know you had mentioned you're going to have a workout session like later on this morning. Yeah. Is that why you get up so early?
Yes, correct. 6 o'clock on the dot. Okay. Actually had to be there and warmed up by 6 o'clock. So, yeah, trainer's pretty
awesome.
Yeah, he's sort of my trainer, my ninja coach. We'll call him a life coach for all intents and purposes as well. Advises on everything from diet to sleep to training to mental health to everything. So, yeah.
Oh, man. It's great to have those people in your life, though. I like to push you along.
Absolutely.
When you wake up in the morning, do you have like a regular regimen? Like, are you a coffee drinker? Like, what do you usually have with you?
So pretty much, I'm not a huge fan of eating too much before training. I've found in the past it can make me a little bit less productive at training. So I'll tend to get up and just have a bit of fruit, but it needs to be done an hour before I actually train, just so that it just settles in my stomach. Otherwise, the second I start moving, it's like that waves of nausea. So yeah, just get up, have something to eat, make myself look human, and yeah, head out. Sometimes it's got to be earlier, depending on my little snake friend's diet as well, because he has to be fed at about 4:30 in the morning.
Oh my goodness. Wait, what kind of a snake do you have?
Yeah, he's a python. He's a coastal python, and he's my little
Oh,
baby. But he's very fussy, and he's got a very regimented feeding schedule. So
wow.
yeah,
How big is he? Does he have a name?
yeah. His name's Stanley. He's definitely my little ninja mascot. He's sort of appeared with me on a couple of times now on Ninja Warrior over here. He's definitely my what shall we say? He's my point of difference. He's 6.5 years old, and he's just almost 2 meters long.
Oh, wow. Now that
Yeah.
you describe him, I have seen pictures of him on your Instagram with you.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I want to say best mate. He's very sweet. He's not at all what people would think of when you think of a snake. He's just real calm, very docile, and only ever really gets excited when I'm feeding him. So
Wow. That's so fun. I love that. Well, I am over here, I have a cup of tea in front of me, and it's Australian afternoon tea. So
oh,
I
fantastic! There you go. It's like you're here.
I thought it was pretty appropriate. Yeah, my brother and my sister-in-law, they've been to Australia, and all of us love drinking tea, and so they bought me a box back. So I'm
Oh,
really excited to
fantastic.
be drinking it with you right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm just about to down a double espresso. That's
Perfect.
that's the other that's the other routine in the morning. Double espresso before I actually start training. That one's a necessity.
Perfect. Sounds like
Absolutely.
my kind of girl.
Yeah.
How long have you been ninja training?
Ninja training for two, yeah, 2 years actually. Oh, it'll be 2 years in June. Um, I started ninja training when pretty much when I first saw they put out the ad for Australian Ninja Warrior on Facebook. Prior to that, I was just doing kickboxing, gym work, weights. I think once upon a time, my biggest aim was to be able to do a single pull up,
Yeah.
and then yeah, that I just remember walking into my trainer's office and looking at him, showing him a video of Casey Catanzaro doing her first run where she made it all the way up the wall, and I said to him, I want to be able to do that. And he looked at me, and it wasn't even a question. It was just, all right, you start training tomorrow.
Wow. That's incredible. I love hearing that. So, just had you done any other sports or anything prior to ninja? I guess you had already had a trainer just going to the gym.
Yeah, I had a trainer going to the gym. I'd started a bit of a weight loss journey, I guess, um, in 2000 and we're talking 5 years now. Yeah, so 2013, I'd started a little bit of a weight loss journey and managed to drop about 20 kilos, and just through sort of going regularly to gym, getting my diet under control, that sort of thing. Yeah, I guess this was the next step. I'd never really ever trained for anything, and once I saw this, I guess I was just waiting for something to come along to pique my interest a bit more. And when this came along, it was yeah, definitely hit the radar hard.
Yeah, that's awesome. I just had to do a quick Google because obviously we don't speak in kilos over here. So I did the math, and
Oh,
for all of our
yeah,
listeners,
sorry.
no, totally fine. For all of our listeners, that's about 44 pounds. So that's definitely impressive, and that's that's not a small amount. Like that's a lot of hard work.
No, yeah, it is. And for anyone that's sort of seen me and seen my Instagram, I'm not like a tall girl. I'm definitely on the shorter side. I'm about 5 foot. I want to say 5'2".
Okay.
So 20 kilos on my frame, it's a significant amount, or 44 pounds on my frame is a significant amount that I'd sort of been carrying for 10 plus years.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it was. I guess it started as just your typical, you go through puberty and you gain weight and hormones and whatever. And I developed quite early. And I just fell, I guess, a bit victim to what I call cultural eating. So you grow up eating the way that your parents ate, and you grow up eating that same food and the exact same way, and it just never really worked for my body. But unfortunately, with that weight gain came quite a significant self-esteem issue, and a body image issue, which is it's and that's so relevant back then. It's still relevant now. A lot of young girls in this day and age do feel that pressure to look a certain way, and it wasn't that I wanted to look a certain way. I just knew for 10 years that I wasn't my best self. I was very much not living up to that potential. Yeah, so after it did have a big impact on me growing up, and it had a big impact even a little bit later in life. That image of looking at yourself and never being happy and never liking what looked back at you. Eventually, when I did kind of get my eating under control and figure out how to eat for my body and what worked for me, and that combined with this what can I say, totally out of the blue passion for training and exercise that I hadn't experienced until I'd walked into the gym that I'm currently at and started training with the trainer that I train with now. It was a perfect combination.
That's so inspiring to hear. And, I met you really through Instagram. So I've seen, your story through pictures and just everything that you've posted. And you seem so on fire. And it's just like what you've written in your info on your Instagram. I love what you have. It says, some women fear the fire, some women simply become the fire. And that's so powerful. And I can tell even just by your story and what you're explaining, like that's definitely something that you live by. And I would never doubt that fire about you because you're so strong and you seem so focused in everything that, you show on Instagram and from your story. So it's really, really awesome to hear. Congratulations for how far you've come. And I'm proud of you, even though I just met you, but I'm sure that there are just women all over the world who look to you and are proud to see such a great example of motivation.
Thank you. That's and I think that actually, it means so much. I don't think people realize, not having, I guess, a lot of confidence in myself for a long time, and then not just having that confidence now, but it almost being acknowledged by people that I don't know, and people that have the courage to even reach out and send a very simple "wow, thank you," or you've inspired me, or I'm going to start this journey myself because you've made it seem possible. I don't think people realize what kind of an impact that actually has on me. And I do acknowledge every single one of those messages that I'm sent because I know what it was like to feel that way, or to feel like this is it for me. There's actually not going to be anything different that happens in my life, or I may never be happy with the way I look. I understand those moments. I think I saw one of the girls that I follow on Instagram, she sort of said, if you're not using social media to be inspired or to inspire, then what are you using it for? And I very much understand that sentiment, because it is such a, that's where I get my inspiration. I see some of the guys and girls doing the things that they're doing, and I go, you know what? That's my next goal, and that's my next goal. I can't come up with these things in my head. So it's very much a case of you're essentially copying, but what they say it's the greatest form of flattery. So for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's so relevant too. It's like we all have so much going on, like in the world around us through social media. And it can be easy to either just feel overwhelmed or feel like you're just comparing yourself to everyone else that you see and feel like it's unattainable. But I think that in the ninja community, we do a really good job of doing, like you said, like using ninja as a tool to really encourage one another and to use it as a motivation and not allow it to just be like a comparison thing. But I think it's so vital to really know yourself and know where you're at with your own levels of self-confidence and how you feel about your own body and your own self. Because it can be so detrimental to just look at yourself and feel like, oh, I can't see my abs enough, or I can't, I don't feel good enough about myself. I want to lose more weight, or I want to do this or that. But being able to come to a place where you're proud of your body and who you are. And yes, we all have goals and we want to continue to improve our health and our fitness. But I've always felt like there's a really fine line between having those goals and then using it in a positive way, but also the fine line between making it something that we kind of bash ourselves over the head with and like put our own selves down for. I'm just a huge advocate of really, first and foremost, I love myself. I love my body. I'm proud of myself, period. And now I do want to, I have goals. I want to be stronger. I want to be more agile, all those things. But I'm a huge advocate for encouraging, especially other women and young girls, to really, first and foremost, have that foundation of just self love and self confidence.
Well, that's definitely in my experience. That's what led to where I am now, getting to that point where, and I've said it before. I said it a lot during the time that the first season aired over here because it was such an important thing for me to get across. That yes, once upon a time, it absolutely was about how I looked because that's what we see every day. That's what we project every day is how you look, and that very much translates into that confidence and the persona you put out there. But at some point, the journey changed for me. It changed from how I looked to what could I get my body to do? What kind of limits could I actually push myself to? Where was that fear boundary? Where is just things that the person that I would look at 5 years ago, and if I showed her some of the videos that I sort of put out there now, this person would not look at me and go, "That's something that I could do." So I think that was a really, really big message for me to get across, was to be able to say to people, okay, it's all well and good about how you look, but see what you can do. There's a great quote by Socrates. It would be a shame for a woman to grow old without ever understanding the strength that her body is capable of. That's becoming so much more relevant these days as girls sort of push themselves, and at a younger age they're trying to do these. They're trying to basically keep up with the boys, and I think it's what it is now, is trying to keep up with the boys. But in 10 years' time, with evolution and what we're pushing to be able to do, that strength, and that confidence, and the movement patterns and everything that they sort of seem to have over us at the moment will not be an issue. It's not going to be such an issue for them.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think it's so exciting. Like, I feel like we're in a time where a lot of our thought processes are shifting and women are realizing that we've had this strength all along. We've had, the ability to do the things that we're doing now this whole time, but we never really were able to step out in it, or we never pushed ourselves to step out into it. And I think it's really, really cool to see that beginning to happen with people like you and so many women all over the world.
Yeah, and to the credit, I think we are also getting that encouragement. You see, I talk to the ninja community here, the guys and all that. They talk about people like Casey and Jesse Graff with such admiration and such like stars in their eyes, and that's really big thing as well, because whether we like it or not, without that encouragement, without the people pushing us to do those things as well, and inclusive of us in that community and in that physical aspect, we wouldn't be able to do it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. I love it. Like everything you're saying. I totally agree. How do you feel like I'm so curious about the ninja community over there in Australia. I really honestly want to come visit you guys because they look like you're having so much fun, and I feel like it's a very tight knit group because
Yeah.
ninja's still growing and starting.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Tell me how it's going. Tell me what it's like over there.
I feel so privileged to have been a part of this from the beginning, because it is exactly that. It's the beginning. You've got this amazing movement over here of people all over the country, and again, it's social media that's connected it all together. We all follow each other on Instagram. We all know exactly what each other looks like. So when by chance we end up at a competition together, you'll just start walking up and talking to someone that you've never met before, and it's like, oh, hey, oh, actually, yes, we've never met before. I only know you through Instagram, and it's a love, but it's a lovely community. The last competition I did, my coach and a couple of my other friends came along too, and my coach walked away from it, and he sort of looked at me and he said, "This is weird." he said, I've never been involved in a competition or a movement or a sport. And he's been in training for, 20 plus years. He said, I've never been involved in something where everyone is so encouraging. It's not, there's no bad blood. There's no, even the competitiveness is there. It's fiery, it's exciting, but it's not directed at each other. There's something really really special about this, and I've said it before because when I've been asked about ninja and what my favorite thing about ninja is, and it is absolutely the people. It for some reason it just attracts this really really beautiful, encouraging group of people that all we want to do is get out and have fun and enjoy, children's playgrounds and go swing off bars and do things that grown ups traditionally don't do. But yeah, it's just very very healthy and encouraging.
I know, I completely agree. And I love even what you brought up about playgrounds. I feel like Ninja has brought out even more of the childlike side of me. And all of us are like that. It's so funny to me. Like everyone, we play on playgrounds again. We climb trees more than we probably were before. Like everything that we probably used to do at some point when we were younger, we're doing again. And it just makes fitness so much fun and it makes living so much fun.
It does.
I'm gonna hopefully she doesn't mind me sharing this, but Barclay Stockett was just here staying with me a few days ago, and we were working on a project. Her and I and Rachel Goldstein, and I know the two of them. They were at Target near Rachel's house, and ended up climbing the outside of Target. And I don't think it's. I don't know if it's illegal or I don't know. I don't know if it's okay for me to share that. But yeah, they climbed. They took a video. They were just climbing on the outside and who does that? Like people climb the outside of buildings. I feel like all the time now because it's just we can do that. Like so.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's quite funny. I go into there's a few bars and stuff where I'm friends with the bartenders and that sort of thing, and I'll walk in and they'll be like, "Oh, do you mind just climbing underneath the stairs backwards with your arms?" And I'm like, "Sure, that's fine. Just yep, no dramas at all." They actually people love it. They love being it's a different level of fun that you do in your life. So yeah, I completely understand that, and not to mention the number of people that have sort of said to me these days, "Could you teach me how to do
Yeah.
handstands? Could you help me do handstands?" Because we all did handstands and cartwheels as kids, and then at some point we got terrified of falling on our faces. And it's become such a thing. It's at my gym as well. I take about two or three people a week through just the basics of how to do a handstand, and then I can see them practicing in the corner, and I just adults just standing on their hands.
I've been working on my handstands and they definitely still need some improvement. I'm still at like the a newbie with it, and so I can only really hold it straight for about 5 seconds. Um, so that's what I'm working on. So if you have any tips, like, do you
Yeah,
think it's better to practice against a wall until you can hold it for longer, or just keep trying? And
I did.
you do? Oh,
No, I definitely did. I definitely at the start I was definitely against the wall, but facing the wall. So don't handstand backwards onto the wall. Face the wall because what you can actually do from just push away a little, push away a little. That's how I found my balance because as much as you want to say that you're comfortable, landing the other way and flipping like a full flip, your body's not gonna, and your mind more than anything is gonna rebel against that a little bit. So learning where that I guess that limit is to then fall back onto your feet the right way is that's definitely a mental thing that helps.
yeah, definitely. So much of ninja and anything in our realm is so mental, and it sometimes it makes me crazy because I'm like, all I have to do is get over my own self, and I should be able to do this.
It's the never ending what shall we say, I don't know if mantra is the word, but it's a something that's heard quite frequently at the gym. My coach sort of yelling at me, "Why are you hesitating? Like, just don't think about it." That's all it is. You just and he will yell it across the gym as he can see me hesitating before I go for that massive box jump at the end of it, at the end of my own little course, and he'll just yell. He'll just be like, "Don't think about it." I'm like, "Yeah, well, that makes sense." I was like, "Well, I know that I'm not supposed to think about it, but this is huge and it's here." And then I do it, and then he just looks at me and goes, why were you worried? It's like, well, yep, you're right. And just having that little bit of confidence in your own movement is honestly the hardest part.
So did you participate in any of the NNLs this season?
So we're just hitting the start of it now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you're talking about over there. Yeah, so those are the guys from last year. Those are the guys that won it or did quite well last year through the league last year. I did take part in one competition. I didn't make it back over for the finals. Had a few conflicting things that I had to deal with. And honestly, it's my big goal this year. It's what I've been. I've already done. My big goal this year was to do 10 competitions before the next round of auditions for Australian Ninja Warrior. So I've done one. I've got another one coming up in a couple of weeks, and then shortly after that, they're all just getting locked in. So those a lot of those will contribute to the final results week of to then head over to for NNL. Yeah.
And are there a lot of gyms now that are popping up throughout the cities in the area? Like, how far do you have to travel?
It has definitely become, what shall we say? There is actually a website dedicated purely to ninja gyms. So every time something pops up, this website gets updated and gives us, it's to give us as a community a chance of anywhere you are. There are places, for instance, Perth, Western Australia has probably the best one in Melbourne. I mean, sorry, the best one in Australia. And that's the Ninja Academy, and that's what a lot of the guys that came over for NNL are from there. They've had that facility for some years now, so they would definitely the what shall we say, the leaders of the pack there. There's a few that have popped up. Me personally, I'm very lucky. My coach is the owner of the gym that I go to, and has sort of given me free reign to his words were, as long as you can call the ambulance and get yourself to a hospital if you need, I have no problems with you doing whatever you have to do. So he sees me frequently walking into the gym just with my hands full of chains and stuff from the hardware store to just build my own stuff. And yeah, so I've sort of built everything in my gym that's up there. I've sort of done myself and hung up from the rafters and all that. So I have to travel about 5 minutes for my ninja gym, but there are a few more, shall we say, professional facilities around as well.
Well, that's awesome, though. I love that he just gives you free reign to come in and do what you want. That's pretty
Oh
great.
yeah. Oh, and it was sort of a necessity thing. I just got to the point where I was like, you know what? This particular obstacle that knocked me out of season one, I just looked at him and I said, that's not going to happen again because I'm going to make that, and I'm going to get very comfortable on that. So yeah,
Absolutely.
that was kind of the start.
And that's the way to do it. I feel like so many people, that's what happens. Like you fall out on an obstacle, you're mad that you fell out, and you're like, this is never happening again. And
Yeah, you very much feel like you need redemption.
yeah, Aussie Ninja Warrior has had, officially the TV show has had one season, right?
Yes, that's right.
I have not actually seen your run. How did it go? How was it? Have you ever experienced being filmed for something like that on TV before?
No, no. So that was in itself, that was quite the nerve-wracking experience. It was honestly that first season, that first day, I would say was probably the best day of my life. Like I just genuinely, it's such a massively long day shooting. We were on an island, an ex-army base island, off Darling Harbour in Sydney, and it was just such a full-on day. You're filming all day around. You're filming on. I think we did a speedboat scene at one point. There was just some crazy stuff that happened, and then you do that all before you go and do your run at. I think mine was about 12 past 1 in the morning, the following morning, because it is night filming. And while at the time you're sitting there going, oh my god, I'm exhausted, this and that, you saw the spectacle of what came out and what they produced and actually put on TV, and you go, you would not have it any other way. It was it's such a beautiful TV show because it was filmed in the night, because you've got the whole set was lit up like a Christmas tree. It was stunning. and just that atmosphere. The cameras are one thing, but also standing there in front of a live audience, screaming at you, was definitely an experience. Not one that I will ever forget. It's probably, in a sense, it added to the nerves, obviously, and it's taught me that I do need to do a lot. Hence my competitions this year is to try and find a way to work with my nerves as opposed to working against them, because that has ultimately been a bit of my downfall. Season one definitely was a lot more nerve wracking. But even just standing there in competition, I do tend to psych myself out. As I'm standing there, I'm looking at, steps are inevitably the first obstacle, and I stand there and I psych myself out about whether or not I can actually do the steps. Now, I've never failed. I've never failed on the steps, so I don't really know why I would think that, but that's what nerves do. So yeah, learning to deal with all that whilst in front of an audience, cameras, your own standards of what you want to achieve. It all makes for a very, very interesting day.
Oh yeah, I've not yet actually competed on Ninja Warrior, but I've been there for testing, and so I know exactly. It's the same process, being up all night and having to be ready to go like at 3 in the morning. It can be extremely exhausting, and again, it's like mind over matter, just being able to push through all that. But even what you're saying, like, yeah, sometimes when you stand at the end of the course, all of a sudden it gets so real, and it's not just you at the gym anymore. It's, everyone's watching and this is the real thing and this is my one shot. It's like you have to really be able to hone in on those nerves and those feelings and use it as your fire. Use it to fuel you to just crush it and give it everything you've got.
Absolutely. For me, it's been able to convert those nerves into a bit of a focus. The at the end of the day, you are there to do one job, and if you can't keep your mind on that job, it's the kind of thing where let your mind go for 1 second and you're on your butt, or you're in the water, or you're somewhere you're not supposed to be. So it's that's been a very interesting. And it's funny, my last competition, I had a second run at it after, again, the nerves did what they did to me. And I had a second run at it and I smashed the course. And it was like you alleviate the pressure of the pressure of yourself, really, standing there pushing and expecting the most out of yourself. You take that out of the equation and all of a sudden everything else is so doable. So but like you said, it isn't that you get that second and third shot. You only ever get one shot. So it's about learning to harness those nerves and use them for good. That's my challenge.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It just being able to really hone in on every second and not let your mind get away from you. I feel like at competitions before, it's like, or even in training when we're doing course runs, it's like I'll be doing something and I'm getting it, and then I have to be careful to let my mind stay in like a focused, confident way, but not in an overconfident, like, oh, look at this, I'm doing it. Like, I have to not flip too far where all of a sudden I lose focus because I'm overconfident.
Exactly. Because that's when you end up doing something silly and something very avoidable.
And you know what they say, overconfidence is a ninja killer.
It is, absolutely.
So I'm looking out my window right now and it's snowing really hard. So it's quite beautiful. Like, I wish you could see it. All the trees are like coated with white and it's like silvery and it's really pretty.
Oh wow, it's amazing. Oh, we're just heading out of summer here. Oh, in theory, it's still very warm, 15 degrees, which I don't know what that is in what you guys, because I'm talking Celsius. But which is good for me because it does mean I can get out and about and do my ninja stuff outdoors, which I do enjoy doing.
I find so often that when it's cold out or if the weather's bad, I have a really hard time making myself go train because everything to get to ninja gyms from me, it's at least like a 45-minute to an hour drive to the nearest ones. And so it just, I don't like driving in bad weather. And so it makes me really just like dread it. So I do my best to just force myself to always go no matter what, unless it's like unsafe. But I'm excited because I have a pull-up bar and a few different things in my apartment, but I am having an actual like ninja rig for my bedroom, custom built by Monstro Holds. So I'm really excited to finally have something in my house so that when it is bad weather, I have no excuse and I could just stay home and crush it really hard.
Oh, wow. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I don't ever have weather that I can't drive in. Like Melbourne, yeah, you can have 4 seasons in the day, but it's all pretty functional. Still, I've got my pull-up bar and outside on my balcony. I've got parallel bars inside my apartment. There's It's like doesn't matter where you are, you always need access to something you can train on.
Definitely. And even like sometimes I'm on Instagram and I'll see somebody doing something at home and I'm like, wait, I have this and that. Like I can do the same thing. Like you want to just run and try it while you're thinking about it.
Yes, absolutely. I do it all the time.
So I want to ask you, do you have any advice for either new ninja athletes or just women in general? Like if you could inspire somebody with something you've learned or just that fire that you have inside of you that you want to spread, like what would you want to tell women?
I think, and like I'm going to say it again, it has become such a big thing for me to inspire women and young girls. Your whole life doesn't have to be anything that you settle for. And I think that we can get very caught in that trap that, okay, this is it. This is all that's going to happen. If there is something that you want to change, and if there is something that you want to achieve physically, mentally, whatever that challenge is, I guess I would like for people to look at my story and think that they can, because to this day when I show people before and after pictures or anything like that, it's like it's always received with such surprise. And it's like, well, the first thing people get when they look at me is they say, oh, you've probably always been athletic. It's like, well, no, it's not the case. And it's don't if you're scared of doing something but you really want to do it, don't let that fear stop you, because I think we do get dominated by fear. We're in a society where we are dominated by fear, whether or not we like to admit it. Fear of doing things, fear of being someone different, and it's not a valid reason anymore. It's not a valid excuse anymore. So many people have shown us that you can overcome those things. There's no reason why we can't do it ourselves.
I really like that too. Even what you said, that fear is not a valid reason anymore. That's really good. And fear is something that I've thought about a lot. Like, yeah, ever since college, I would realize that I'd shy away from something. I could shy away from anything for a fear-based reason. And so I started really challenging myself that every time that I realized I was saying no to something, I would stop and ask myself, is this rooted in fear? Is the real reason why I'm saying no or yes to this situation? Is it because I'm afraid of something? And it really helped me to understand myself better and break down my own thoughts and feelings and step away from fear. And sometimes I would realize that I was saying no to something and then I would think it through and then realize it was because of fear. And I would change my answer. I'd say, no, I am going to do this. And I think that that's so important. And I'm really glad that you bring that up. And you've said it a few times on this episode, getting away from fear and recognizing it for what it is and being able to push past it. It's not just for ninja and the obstacles. It is so relevant to that, but it's also any area of your life, like any goal that you could possibly have. If you can push past the fear of the what ifs, be willing to go for it no matter what could happen, it can be incredible how your life can change.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think at the end of the day, people forget that fear, just like everything else, it's an emotion. And just like we feel everything else, and we can choose to feel things when we don't want to. Your mind's so powerful. It's just one of those things that you can choose to look past or push past, and it shouldn't be a reason to not do anything. I just want to acknowledge not just the Australian ninja community, but the international ninja community. I've received so much love and acknowledgement and support from all over the world, and it's really it's so special to be part of something where it's kind of universal at this point. We're being Australian, we're still very new to the phenomena that is Ninja Warrior. We are still very new to it, and it's definitely it's the best thing that I ever decided to put my mind to, and I hope that wherever people follow or watch or listen or come into contact with the movement, that they get that same inspiration, because it is just so unique and it's something that's so pure and it's so authentic, and really it's innocent, and I that's what I really like about it. There's no bad about the movement or the people that are doing it. So not so far anyway. So I just wanted to acknowledge how great this community is, and to keep it going.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you for bringing up the fact that we are a global movement at this point. I had the privilege of meeting a few ninjas from the UK when I was at NNL Finals. And it's just so cool to me that we are so connected. And I'm just blown away by it every day, every time I think about it. And I can't wait to have more involvement from as many countries as possible and really just spread the community and the support along with the
Yeah,
sport.
and doing stuff like this, I don't think you realize, but you probably, I don't know if you realize how much this contributes to the people that are sort of following you as well, because it does, it gives us an opportunity to link up and hear different stories, and that's what got us inspired in the first place. So it just keeps that inspiration going. So good on you, because you're doing a really good job.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I so have just a love for everyone in the sport and the community, and being able to see people like you and people like Olivia Vivian and everyone who's in the other countries participating. It's so incredible to me. Like I just feel like we're part of this big family that's just wants to support each other, and it's like nothing else that I've ever experienced. And I really do, especially with the podcast and with Ninjababes, I want to continue to just provide that safe place for women to be themselves and to be proud of themselves and to support one another. And so I feel so honored to have you on this interview today. It's just so cool to me to be able to connect with you and share it with other Aussie ninjas and everyone all over the world, because there are listeners in so many countries. I need to count how many I'm at this point. But when I look at the map of listenership for the podcast, it's there's listeners on every continent, and except for Antarctica. um, but it's really, really cool to see. And I so love that you're a part of it today as well.
Thank you very much for letting me be a part of it. It's been quite an honor.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to use code Ninjababes at monsterholds.com. And if you aren't already following the Ninjababes on Instagram, make sure you open up your IG right now and follow us at the Ninjababes. Happy Friday, everybody.
They all got ninja fever